Hey guys. Okay, so this is part 2 of my K-drama year in review from 2023. If you're new here, this is the Friendly Drama Queen channel, and I talk about K-dramas, Asian dramas. So if you like that, subscribe. Okay, so I already have a part 1 up where I was basically going through the K-dramas that I watched and I liked in 2023, and that covered the first 6 months of 2023, and this video is going to cover the last 6 months of 2023, which is actually when I became a bit not as active on my channel. So I'm gonna talk about some K-dramas that I never really probably got to go in depth with. All right, so where we last left off, we were gonna start off in July. Now about July, I was really only keeping up with 2 K-dramas, and that was Durian Affair, which is it's not a family drama. It's not. I almost thought it was a family drama because of the way it looked, but it wasn't. Durian Affair and a K-drama called My Lovely Liar. This is a poster. And okay, I'll talk about it. It's 16 episodes, and the premise was 2 women who had come from the past into the future, and they meet their reincarnated son and husband. So it's a mother and her daughter-in-law. Yeah, so when they come to the past, and that's triggered by the mother losing her son, and therefore the daughter-in-law losing her husband. So then they time travel into the future, where they then meet their reincarnated their reincarnated son-husband. Okay? Oh, I hope that made sense. If it doesn't, I'm so sorry. But it's a reincarnation show. And part of the appeal of it initially was the fish out of water antics of them trying to adjust from coming from the Joseon or the historical time period into the modern period. Also, the actress that played the daughter-in-law was so she's especially good at playing the fish out of water antics, and you were really rooting for her romance with the husband. Like, you were hoping that the husband in the present time would recognize her and they would like get together. And that's what kept me clicking next on the episodes. Like, I kept wanting to see when he would like recognize her and they could like have a cute love story. Child, that never happened. I mean, it never happened that we saw. This show was the most confusing, mind-boggling show of 2023 for me. Like, plot where? There was no plot. Like, there was plot, but there was no plot, if that makes sense. It's like they had enough to make a show out of, and yet they did not really expand on the points that needed to be expanded on. So it was like a wild, wacky ride to be on to watch that show. And if you were part of that journey, we do deserve some compensation for being put through that drama. Other than that, I mean, I could talk about that drama for a while because it was so fascinating in the sense that it was so weird, and I could not stop watching. It's like watching a train crash. I just could not stop watching it, even though I knew there's no way it was gonna end well. Okay, then I watched My Lovely Liar. I don't really want to talk too much about that one. To me, it's like your classic rom-com about a girl who can detect lies and a guy with a past who she can't read properly. She can't read if it's telling the truth or not. And they fall in love in the backdrop of some criminal case. It's okay. If you like it, that's for you. For me, it was whatever. Okay, August. Now coming to my favorite K-drama of pretty much last year, which was the Disney Plus drama called Moving, which was a superhero ensemble type thing that kind of centered around 2 teenagers who had superhero powers and had superhero parents, and the drama centered around them kind of coming to terms with their superhero powers, and then also the superhero parents trying to protect their children. This drama is so good. This drama single-handedly cured my slump, okay? Like, up until this point, I was just like, I would give a drama 2 episodes a try and I would be like, I'm out, because nothing was catching my attention. And this one was just so wholesome, so cute, and had me thinking, how come they don't have a lot of superhero K-dramas? Because I love the concept, and I love it so much that I wish they kind of, like, my favorite thing about Moving, the drama, wasn't actually the kid's story but the parent's story. I think most people will agree with this, like the love story between particularly Bong Soo's mom and dad. Like, I wanted a whole K-drama just on them. Like, we only got like 2 episodes that really focused on their love story, and I was like, this is it, this is what I'm looking for. So really loved Moving. Like, highly recommend that you check it out if you haven't. It needs a season 2, really, but also I don't know if I have it in me to watch a season 2, but if they give me a season 2, I will make that decision. Okay, next drama here was My Dearest, which was it's a historical drama. Can I call this drama underrated? Let me Google and see if it's highly rated or not. My Dearest. This drama was on my radar because of Nam Goong Min, who I tend to watch pretty much everything he's in. Like, I don't think he picks bad dramas, like, ever, really. So it's rated 8.9. Okay, people love it. Underrated. It may not be underrated in like a critical sense, but it's underrated in a do you know of this drama sense. I think it's Gone with the Wind. Yeah, if you've watched the movie Gone with the Wind, I think this show is like a Korean retelling. Like, the characters are similar, the stories are similar, it's just in a different culture. But it has Nam Goong Min in it, and really, it's really such a good drama. You know what? I can't even say it's underrated because it did. I think it won a Daesang or something. It won a Korean award or something. It is sad. You will cry. Your heart will be broken, but it's kind of worth it. It's kind of worth it. Yeah, it's kind of worth it. I think you should check out My Dearest. My Dearest is in my top 10 for last year. It has 2 parts. Waiting for the second part nearly had me, but it was worth it. So Moving and My Dearest. Also in August, I ended up watching Mask Girl on Netflix, which is like a very weirdly dark show. I did end up making a YouTube short on it on this channel. I know it's not for everybody because it's like really dark. It's really dark. It focuses on a girl who is not the prettiest, and her navigating, basically the whole story is triggered by her being a cam girl, and then being discovered for being a cam girl by one of her co-worker, and then a whole bunch of things happen that are just dark. I don't know if I can recommend it. It's definitely not a watch for me. I think part of the reason I kept watching it is because I'd never watched a K-drama like it before. It just seemed to be so matter-of-fact and dark, but in a way, it was dark in a way that was so like, it is what it is. And I was just curious to see how things are gonna end up for her. So I do think it was like a really well-crafted K-drama as far as like storytelling goes, and even the acting. But then I could see why it's not for everyone, because it just had so many dark elements that you might not want to sit through. So yeah, that was August. There were other dramas in August, but those are the main 3 ones that I was watching. Mind you, I was kind of in a slump then again, so yeah. September happened, and I remember 2 dramas for September. One was Arthur Chronicles Season 2. Massive disappointment. I know anyone could have told me that, but they should have just kept it. They should have just kept it, because the minute the cast changed that drastically, and it took them 4 years I want to say about, was it 4 years to make the sequel, then they should just kept it in the vault, because by the time it came back, I tried to watch it. I think I watched the first 4 episodes, but I had forgotten so much, and it was kind of a lot of information to try and relearn to like just keep up with where the story was. And also the fact that it just wasn't the same cast just bothered me so much. It was almost like a standalone thing. Like, it's almost like maybe if it existed outside of the first part, it could have been more okay for me, but excuse me, ultimately it was a disappointment. If you're an art doll, if you loved Art Doll, the show, and you watched season 1 and season 2 and you were satisfied, I would love to hear from you. Tell me, because I know it was a mixed show. Season 1 was kind of a mixed review show, but season 2 I think was not good. So yeah, there's that. And then another show that came out in September was called Twinkling Watermelon, and it's another time travel show. Sorry for my neighbors are all of a sudden like, let me just start slamming doors. Yeah, so Twinkling Watermelon was another show that came out. Okay, Twinkling Watermelon. It took me a while to get into the show because the name just kept throwing me off. Like, I just kept thinking, is this? That's kind of what it looked like. And it was like it looked like a young cast, so like a high school situation, and I was just done with high school dramas, and just the name doesn't give me any inclination on what this is gonna be about, so I wasn't super keen on checking it out, but I did, and I ended up really liking it. I do think I think it's a good enough show. I don't have really anything else to sell you on it other than it's a lot more plot and more story than you're led on to believe. It's like a nice surprise to start watching and just like fall into. It's called Twinkling Watermelon. Okay, in October we got Strong Girl Nam Soon, highly anticipated, Castaway Diva, Perfect Marriage Revenge, and Duna. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about them one by one. Let's start with Strong Girl Nam Soon. So much potential, you know, it had so much potential. I think I don't even need to explain to you how highly anticipated this was, because Strong Girl Bong Soo is a very loved K-drama in the K-drama community. It's up there. Like, when I was doing my video on what is the most popular K-drama, it was kind of up there as far as contenders go, and maybe that's a testament to how Park Bo Young played the character. And so Strong Girl Nam Soon, I kind of thought would follow the twins that they had in part 1, but I knew early on when the teasers came out that it was going to be kind of like an offshoot, not like an exact sequel, just in the same universe. That being said, I think I really was in love with the direction it was going the first 3-4 episodes, you know. But a lot of things were still kind of nagging me, like the fact that Nam Soon in this version, she just had a bunch of like add-on powers. Like, she had the speed. Didn't Bong Soo have speed? I don't think so. She had like a bunch of extra powers. She was like overpowered for real. She was. And I do think she played the innocent girl, or like the childlike persona, a little bit too well, because then her chemistry and relationship with the cop on the show started to seem a little odd to me, like a little like they should just be like brothers and sisters, not like actually dating. Like, that's the vibe I got from that pair. And the villain, this is a funny thing, the villain in that show had more chemistry with her than the cop did, even though it still gave me an air of like, she's so young and these men just seem not that young. So the pairing was just like, maybe she should just like not be with anybody, you know what I mean? I couldn't keep up with whatever criminal shit was happening. Like, I feel like the criminal backdrop of the first season was done a lot better than it was in this season. The humor was still nice. I did think it was kind of funny, even though it was a little bit more physical. Like the one thing about the original, the first Bong Su, that I think people liked, but I was always kind of like, was the amount of like fart jokes. There was so many like physical comedy, like kind of like unsettling bodily harm jokes. And also the fart jokes, and like the gangster whose teeth was always, yeah. My point is, let me circle to the point. Strong Girl Namsoon ended up not being a good drama for me. Not one that I would recommend. I still think the original is better. And this one, it could have lived up to it, but it did not. And I just would not watch this again. And I wouldn't recommend that someone else watches it the way it ended up going. So yeah. Now, the second drama, Castaway Diva. Now, Castaway Diva, I didn't talk about it at all on this channel. I don't think I did. But it's basically about this girl who was washed up on an island. She had a dream to be a singer. And then a couple years, the way she ends up on the island is pretty traumatic. But you gotta watch the show to know how she ends up there. But she basically gets found at a much later age, I think 15 years later when she's 29, and it follows her trying to find her high school sweetheart, is what I'm gonna call him, and also succeed in her career as a singer, and also help her idol at that time, her teenage idol, who's now a struggling singer in the present. It's a lot. It's a good show. My takeaway is it's good. It wasn't like wow for me. It wasn't, I don't think it was like, it ended up being kind of like an average show for me, not something that really stood out. I think a lot of that just had to do with like, I got to a point where I wasn't even sure if romance had its place here, or if it really had to do with someone just rediscovering themselves and their identity, which some people, like, that's probably what it is. The main focus of the show was her rediscovering herself and her identity. And so that's what it was. Whereas I'm coming in from the mindset of, oh, I'm getting a love story, like the high school sweetheart. Like, I thought they would get together earlier on in the show, but then there was at least 4 episodes where I wasn't sure who the male lead was. And I remember that was at the point, I remember watching the show, and by episode 5 or 4, I still couldn't tell who she was supposed to be with. And I was like, okay, now this show's playing with me, because I gotta know who to put my chemistry wagon behind before I keep watching, because otherwise I don't want to pick a character willy-nilly and then find out that that's not the one she ends up with. So I kind of had to detach myself from it at some point, which probably did not help my watching experience. That was Castaway Diva. And then Duna, I'm just gonna say a brief word on Duna. Duna came out on Netflix. It was a Suzy show. My first impressions were, because I kind of watched the first 2 episodes and I watched the last episode. Yeah, that's how I watched it. And at first I was like, this is trying really hard to be very artistic. Like, just the moodiness, the cinematography, the way it was being shot was giving very like indie film, I'm better than you vibes. And I just wasn't sure where it was going. And then baby, I skipped to the end and I realized where it was going. I said, okay, thank God I did not. Thank God I did not hook my bandwagon. Suzy is doing her thing as an actress. She constantly improves, I think. But this was a bit too artsy for me. Duna is just, it was doing too much with too little is the best way I could put it. And if you liked it, that's for you. It just wasn't my vibe. Which brings me to my vibe. The show that I, like, it came out of nowhere and it was like the dark horse of last year. Perfect Marriage Revenge. That's my show. That is the show. That's the show, okay? It's perfect length. the pacing of that show is what I wish every rom-com's pacing would be. It had the pacing that I loved about Love to Hate You. It had the beats that I loved of Love to Hate You. I just really appreciated this show because we did not dwell on things for too long. Up to the next, and things were moving. Things were happening. Perfect Marriage Revenge, okay, if I was to give a brief summary, it would be about a woman who kind of gets a second chance in life, and then she uses her second chance to get revenge on her family that treated her. They kind of like ruined her life in the first life, so she was like getting revenge, particularly on her stepmother and stepsister. And in the midst, she ends up getting with a rich Chibo guy, and he helps her with the revenge. So to me, and it happened just like that, just like she got back. And she was ruthless. She was ruthless. Not. And the reason I say that is because I'm watching Marry My Husband right now, which I'm gonna have to make a separate video on, like what I'm currently watching. And it's clear they're like they're very similar. The plot is similar. It's just the execution is different. And I just really appreciate it. Or I appreciate with Perfect Marriage Revenge how fast things happened. The pacing was like this. Episode 1, this happens. And it was just, and you kept watching, and there was not really a filler episode. You know what I mean? And the revenge was suitable. The revenge is appropriate. The stepsister was the stepmom. They deserved everything coming to them. So I got just so much satisfaction watching Perfect Marriage Revenge that I would recommend. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. All right, now we're like November, December, which was pretty much of a slump. Okay, so I only watched 2 dramas within this 2 months, and that was Vigilante, which was on Disney Plus, and Daily Dose of Sunshine, which was more of like a slow burn life, what do you call it, one of those like slow life medical type dramas, and that was on Netflix, and it had Park Bo Young, and that's why I wanted to watch it. I'll start with Daily Dose of Sunshine. That one came out on Netflix, like I said, and at first I thought it was going to be given It's Okay Not to Be Okay, in the sense that the guy was a kooky one and she was like the calm social one, and the backdrop of the love story was in a mental health facility. But it ended up giving more slice of life vibes. It wasn't even for the romance. I ended up not really watching for the romance, but just for the beats, like the character, the insights she was getting, like the different cases from the mental patients. So all in all, it was a satisfying, relaxing show for me to unwind to, and I appreciated it for that. Now Vigilante is the opposite, where it was like full-on thriller, but I was so into it because again, it's short. I just love Disney Plus dramas for that. They're always kind of like perfect length. They seem to have pacing a little bit done better. Vigilante had the guy from Startup whose name I can't remember, but it was a surprising binge for me. I think I watched it in one weekend, and I do like it. I liked it because I thought the action sequences were cool. I thought it ended well. I thought like the plot was nice. The Vigilante, really the plot is him being a police student and also being a vigilante at night, and then him doing the cat and mouse chase with a cop. So it sounds kind of like, I mean, there are probably a lot of more dramas with that same plot, but I just really like this one, mostly because I really like the villains and I like the action sequences. Whew. Okay, so I've been talking for quite a bit, but we are now at the end of this video, and so please subscribe, join the channel, join the community, Friendly Drama Queen, and I will try and get the other video on what I'm currently watching out soon. Okay, bye guys.